Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another Grand Prix here in the Dutch racing competition. This time we are in Canada. One of the most well-renowned tracks just to ever have graced Formula 1, if we're being truthfully honest. This year in the official F1, it didn't disappoint at all, and is not going to disappoint tonight in the Dutch racing competition. This track has promoted so much attacking, defending, just general really hardcore racing, and this is exactly the reason why. You can see there's so many areas to attack in. You got chicane after chicane after chicane, you got DRS zone after DRS zone after DRS zone, and all of this promotes tons of slipstream with a slight little bit of elevation changes as well. Means there's more mistakes that the drivers can make, and all we're going to see is top-notch level driving. Noosa is going to give us a tour of this track exactly right now. DRS wing wide open down the home straight, a little kink here on the right hand side, and then into the chicane. It's quite a slow one, to be honest. You brake hard in now into gear 2, get round this corner pretty severely. Now, in the run-up towards turn 3, need to make sure this is tidy. 4, 5. Don't get too easy onto the grass, otherwise you will lose it, just like Vettel did. Quick right here. No braking at all until this bit here. Hard braking down to gear 3, get onto that curb, don't ride it too hard, get a nice good exit through here, because you got another DRS zone charging to the next chicane in this track. Stay on the left, brake on the 100 meter board, get down to gear 4, flick it in onto the curbs, ride it just nicely, get a good exit, but don't go wide. That wall will take your wing, and it will have no hesitation to do that. Now, brake hard on the 100 meter board, get down, right down to gear 2. If you're really struggling, down to gear 1 to just get the turn in as you go around the hairpin and immediately onto the throttle to charge down the back straight. DRS wing wide open now, and this is the final 2 corners, but this will not be the end of the action, because as soon as you finish this chicane, brake on the 100 meter board down to gear 5. If you can really nerve it down, straight through the chicane on the exit, don't hit the wall of champions, another DRS zone, and charge right across to the line. That in itself is already a prime example of just how difficult this track can be, and when you're being pressured, it will ruin it. However, here is the driver standings, with Jorn and Meester currently topping the charts. 5 points separates the 2 drivers, with Just Chillin chasing in 3rd, Julian there in 4th. The Mercedes brothers, if you like, they're in 4th and 5th. Verkeerkamp chasing him 4 points behind him, with Bika in 6th. He's had a bit of a rough season. Busted there in 7th, Fluffy Balls in 8th, Atomic in 9th, with Dan there in 10th place. Not far away, actually. The grid is really closely packed in terms of points, as Noosa sat in 11th place as best of the rest. Livid there in 12th, with Mute in 13th. Kimmy 14th, Charafin 15th, Jumboy 16th, Nathan tied with him there for 16th place as well with 4 points, and 2 points there for Dennis, Anthony there, and then it was the other person. Red Bull Racing is leading the constructors though with 116 points, tied exactly with Toro Rosso, and this is going to be such a close battle all the way to the end of the calendar, with Williams in 3rd, Mercedes 4th, Haas 5th, Renault 6th, Ferrari 7th, McLaren 8th, Alfa Romeo 9th, and Racing Point rounds out the top 10. So, we're about to get underway with the actual Grand Prix, the qualifying. We're just waiting for the final drivers to finish off readying up. As soon as they do, though, we'll be able to get straight into the short qualifying session. So for those of you who are brand new to racing, or at least league racing in F1 2019, I mean, those beeps will first of all signify to you exactly what you're in for, but it's a short qualifying session. It's 18 minutes of qualifying. There's no Q1, Q2, or Q3. It's just one stint of qualifying. Whatever tyres you qualify on, they will be the tyres that you will be taking into the race, providing that we don't have a wet start. This is Canada. Rain has been here on a number of occasions, and it wouldn't surprise me if we did get to see some at some point. But, you know, you can't factor that in until you've seen the weather report, because it can very easily change things up. We have just lost a driver. That might cause a few little problems there, potentially. And definitely someone's going to miss out on the qualifying. So there may be a restart, but we'll hold out for that in just a uno momento. So, just going back to what I was saying, in terms of the strategy, you've got obviously the softs, mediums, and the hards, the tyres that you're going to be using on every track in this grid, purely because of the way that they've changed the compounds, obviously for the C classes now. So you've got like C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe it is. And, you know, it gives the drivers tons of opportunity to really work around the strategy a little bit. But for this track in particular, you can do softs to hards quite easily, to be honest. The softs actually last a little bit longer than you think. There's not too many areas on the track where it really takes a lot of grip from your tyres to properly deliver. Yeah, you do have some quick chicanes, and that's where you're going to be losing them the most. And I'm thinking of the main one being turns 6 and 7, well, the chicane coming after that. And that's the bit where you got to brake really hard. You got to get nicely down in the gears, get down to gear 3, and then flick it into the chicane, get a good exit. And if you have a mistake, you're going to really lose out massively. We have lost Dower, so Dower will hopefully be able to rejoin. His car's still in the pit, so that's good. It means he should be able to rejoin and still take part in the session. And it is dry. That is crucial. That is a big factor when it comes to the qualifying here. You want to be able to qualify on the fastest time. I'm looking at the sky, and there's not a cloud really. I mean, yeah, there's little patches of it, but nothing that suggests that we're going to be seeing any rain anytime soon. Mace's already setting his sights on coming out. I'm going to go on board with him. And his teammate, actually, as well. That's Cherifin. Looking to get out onto track as soon as possible. Oh, I guess I'm just in front of him. Little cheeky nip out there. I'm actually going to be keeping a very firm eye on Maester throughout this. We have lost Dennis as well. Hopefully he can get back in. I know that he's not been feeling too great, so he might not be delivering too well today. We'll have to see. So, Cherifin getting out of the way for Maester. Maester's just going to shoot off, get some tyre grip. If we were to do a top 3 prediction for this one, it's really hard to look anywhere else other than Jorn and Maester. They have been exceptional. They've delivered so much pace, and they are tied. You know, they're batting really closely when it comes to the driver standings. I think Jorn has the pace. I'm just trying to picture who has the best qualifying pace. Jorn has really solid race pace. Maester has really solid race pace too, but on a track like this, he's more prone to getting the penalties, whereas Jorn has actually done a very good job of keeping himself penalty-free. I mean, if you remember back to last week when we saw him in Monaco, he got a penalty, and, you know, it didn't affect his race at all. He still took the race win, took the 25 points in his pocket and ran off with it. He has such a huge lead in terms of everyone else that he was just able to love life, carry on as normal, and take off. He seems to really thrive in these street circuits. And so when it comes to this one, this is going to be no different. I think we're going to see just the same sort of performance out of him as Mason now starts the hot lap, the first of the drivers to do that. Cherifin will be the next one behind him. I think Anthony might be out there as well, actually. Anthony might actually be ahead. Yeah, he is. I'm going to stay on board with Anthony then. I want to see how comfortable he's finding this track. He's not had a particularly great season. Not the worst, but definitely not the greatest. And looking at the way he's doing those lines, he actually looks pretty solid right now. Dare I swing wide up in here then? Didn't choose to go for mode 4 on the ERS. A lot of drivers would choose to do that if they felt the need to sort of push themselves a little bit further, really try and get the most out of the car. And he's looking comfortable as it stands. Braking hard into the hairpin. Good exit there. Nothing to worry about at all. And as Maester, you just seen entering the same sort of scenario. Still committed to this lap, hasn't made a mistake. Did rev the engine in gear 6 and maybe a little bit too far. That would have slowed him down just a touch. This is the crucial corner that you can so easily invalidate. And you've got a little toe there from Nathan. Got a really good exit. Maybe a little bit too tight there. Could have probably ran a little bit further deep. But first lap on the board is a 109.632. Next to come across is Maester, who tops that with a 108.912. So really solid result there from Maester, because retired from the session. I wonder if that was... I don't know if he went out on track. I think he may have a qualifying ban, actually. I'm not sure. We'll see. But either way, Beaker will not be getting any time on the board today. So rough times for him. Regardless, he might be able to improve it. Dan, though, he's chucked himself in there. 108.693. Properly good time there. Charifin's got a lap on the board as well. 109.005. Fluffy Balls in P4. Anthony's now just sitting ahead of his teammate, Julian, who's just been separated by Veerkamp in P6. I'm going to predict Veerkamp dead last today, just for his nasty comment he made about me earlier. No, I'm just kidding. He was actually fine. I do want to see Jorn, though. He's on an outlap at the minute. This is the guy that I have pipped for P1. If I was to put my money on anybody taking the pole position time, it's got to be him. He has really delivered the performance that I want to see from him. I mean, if we look back, I've known Jorn for quite a long time now. I'd probably say at least a year. And to see the way he was driving a year ago versus the way he's driving now, he has just jumped massively. His performance has stepped up, his consistency stepped up, his general race pace has just been incredible, and F1 2019 seems to be the game for him, where he's actually properly delivering. If he can keep it going, though, for the rest of the season, the Drivers' Championship might be his, but I mean, Maester is absolutely going to be giving him a good run for his money. Just chilling, comes across the line, does a 109.068, which is puts him in currently P7. Fluffy Balls, Charafin, Atomic, Maester, Jumboy, and Dan all ahead of him. And Dan currently leading the way with a 108.693. This just seems to be a track that Just Chillin' is not quite able to really tie things together. Not necessarily saying that he's struggling in any way. He's just not particularly finding the tenths of seconds that you need in order to be right up there at the top, especially when you've got the likes of Kimi and Favircam have been out on the mediums, and they're not that far away if you look at it. 8 tenths, 9 tenths is pretty much all it is between them. But this guy here, Jon, he must have invalidated already. He's on mode 0. Unless my telemetry is broken, which I don't think it is. Is anyone else? Everyone's on mode 0s. Is that right? Do I have broken telemetry? Nope, I definitely don't. Okay, so yeah, he has invalidated, looks like. And the bar's not going down either, so he's going to have to go again. The concern, though, if he does that, he's going to go softs, and if he doesn't improve, he's going to have done 2 laps on them. And that's not ideal. On a track like this, you really can't afford to waste any extra laps on the tyres if you haven't got the lap done. So he might come into the pits, which he does. Says, nope, I made a mistake. I'm going to just eradicate that one from my memory, reset myself, and go again. I don't want to say that he's necessarily struggling, but it doesn't exactly bode well for him as it stands. Nathan, though, out on track with the hard compound tyres, the only driver to be out on track with the hard compound tyres. And then you've got Kimi, who's out there on the mediums. If you start outside of the top 10, you're going to want to go hards to whatever, and it's a sort of scenario you can play around with. If you are in P11, which I would always argue is one of the best positions to be in when it comes to strategy, because it allows you to do literally anything. You can go hards to softs, providing that you've taken the hards well enough, or if you maybe gone a little bit too hard on your hards and you want to just do the one stop safely and go to mediums, then you could do what Kimi's doing, just go on the mediums, have a nice time, really enjoy the race, and ultimately that is not actually a bad strategy. Busted out on track right now on a hot lap. His teammates just started one as well. It's Noosa. Busted is a quick driver, actually. I've raced alongside of Busted a couple of times and really does have a lot of talent. I think the issue he's got currently is, I think it feels like a bit of a confidence issue in himself. Seems to, I don't know, lack either the confidence in the car or lack confidence in his own driving abilities, but you know, when he properly feels good, he delivers. It's not a surprise at all that that's the case. It's just, can he deliver right now? He's gone for mode 4, now switched to mode 5. He's going to want to do the other way around, really. You want to be on mode 4 here, so that you have the best straight line speed over everyone else. 208, 209 miles an hour before he gets to the braking zone, straight into the final chicane. Don't touch the outside wall, keeps it together. Is this going to be a 108? Or is it going to be a low 109? It's a 108.6. I told you he had the potential to do it, and he's done it. 108.630 is the new pole sitting time. Yes, he's done it a few minutes after Dan did, but ultimately that still shows that Busted has the pace. Maester has improved, but only just a little bit. Goes 108.731. Puts in P3. Dan out on track at the minute, looking to improve. Almost gets into that wall there. That would have been a serious amount of wing damage if he had done that. This is a track, remember, that penalties are a huge factor. And if you do end up getting those penalties, you can easily lose a lot of places. But Dan now on to the final proper straight, I guess. I mean, you have the home straight, but this is the one where all the action's going to be, because the second one is more of a just sort of cementing your position. Oh, Kimi, that's not good news. Disqualified for blocking the pit lane. So maybe made a mistake going through turns 1 and 2. Disqualified from the session there. I'm just going to see. Dan is a 108.693. I don't think he actually improved there. Looks like he's going again there, and I can't see Kimi's cut. Oh, there it is. But it's too late to see what actually happened, so never mind there. Jumboy out on track, going for a hot lap as well. Anyone else? You got Livid. He's a little bit further behind, trying to do a hot lap as well. Faircamp's just started. Where's Jon? Jon is on the hairpin. Actually, on a hot lap as well. We'll come back to him in just a second, because I believe Jumboy is a bit further ahead. Yes, he is. So Jumboy, then Jon. Jumboy's actually going to get a huge tow here from Fluffy. It might have only been brief, but that's a massive improvement. Look, he went actually peaked 210 miles an hour before he had to get to the braking zone, which is huge, realistically, let's be honest. Here he comes into the line. Doesn't improve. Jon finally gets the time on the board. A 108.779, which is just behind Maester. So an opportunity there for him to improve, definitely. The top 3 are now in the pits. Where's Atomic? Coming through into the second sector now. So still a little bit to go. Veerkamp, half a second up, which will put him where? 109.4, puts him just ahead of Noosa if it's exactly half a second up. Final chicane there. He's gone through. Has he done enough to bring him right up the top? P8 is where he sits. So definitely improved a lot. 8 tenths he improved. He got 3 more tenths in just that final sector. So really solid work from Veerkamp to be where he is. 109.057. And you got Charafin, who's just broke into the 108. So look, 108.999. So good stuff from him. Just chilling. Out on track. On a hot lap as well. Slightly up. A 15 thousandths of a second improvement. Not going to be enough if you want to be able to get into the 108. So you're going to need about a tenth at least just to be able to properly put yourself in there. And Atomic sets the new fastest lap by 1,000th of a second in front of Busted. 108.629. That is incredible. They are really close. We'll look at the gap to leader in just a second. I want to see as just chilling now comes into the final chicane. Gets a good exit. That was a really smooth chicane. A little bit slow though, but still smooth. And up in a P4. That's a massive improvement for him. 108.693, and we've still got 7 minutes remaining of the session. Means there is still tons of opportunity for track evolution to kick in, for drivers to really find that extra bit of time and maybe get themselves into the low 108s. Yellow flag sector 2 though. I want to have a quick look at the gap to leader. So there was 1,000th of a second between Atomic and Busted. I mean, it'll show that they are equal, but they are 1,000th separated. And then you look, it's all the way down to P14 before we start to see anywhere near the second gap. It's 7 tenths there, and then you got a 3/10 gap between him and Anthony. Anthony's there in P15, and that's where you get to the exact 1 second margin. So it's such a close grid here. And we haven't even had a chance to see Beaker, Dennis, Dower, or Kimmy get to put a lap in. So it could be even closer when it comes to the race. We're just going to have to wait and see. There's not a great deal more we can do about it. But Just Chilling and Dan have actually set exactly the same time. 108.693, and I'm looking at the sky now. The clouds have really started to form a little bit. I don't think we're going to see rain, but the track temperature might drop a degree or two, and that will play a little bit of havoc, if you like, on the tyres. There's the Haas driver. I believe that's Fluffy Balls. No, it's not. It's the other one, which is Atomic, coming in to the pits. Busted on his way out. Sees Atomic's little challenge that he's laid down on for him, 1,000th of a second ahead, and he's going to say, well, I mean, surely I could easily improve on that. That's not going to take me too much. I just need to make sure I do exactly what I did before, and then just slightly faster. But obviously, still 5.5 minutes remaining does mean that, you know, as you improve, everyone else is going to improve, and that's how Meister has been able to do a 108.397, and things are starting to come back into normal order now, as Meister's put himself on the top step, ready for that pole position to be his. And Jorn's currently out there at the minute on an outlap, ready to improve. This is him starting it off. Get this chicane perfect. Get a good exit. It really sets you up for the next few corners because you can carry so much pace through this chicane here. You don't want to lose that much, and Jorn knows it. That's why he's just done that perfectly. Loses a little bit of grip, but he catches it just about. Brake hard now. This corner, interestingly, he took it a little bit later to get down to gear 3, but he did manage to get a good exit there as well. No slipstream being gained for him. And these drivers are properly fighting each other. They are not holding back at all. Despite the fact that they have the same race engineer, they are absolutely committed to delivering everything and taking the position away from the driver in front, or his, I guess, teammate, even though they're not on the same team as such. They're on the same sister team, but they're not on the same constructor specifically. Jorn is charging up to that final chicane. Has gone for mode 4. Look, he's really trying to utilize every single percentage of that ERS that he can get. Doesn't invalidate. A little bit slow there. This might not be the new pole time, but he's definitely going to commit, and he's close. A 108.423 is the time on the board for Jorn. Busted's currently coming round as well. A little bit wider than you would necessarily think, but that's not necessarily meaning he's slow. It just means he's using all the track limits and trying to maintain momentum. Coming up to the final chicane. I think we're going to see a fair few crashes. He's gone into the pits. I think we're going to see a fair few crashes there. That Wall of Champions is very well known for that. That's why it's called the Wall of Champions, because it's so easy to make a mistake, and it's claimed a few lives of, I'll say lives, a few cars, a few racing lives, if you like, of the drivers. Anthony coming round The sky has really gone grey now. I think we might be seeing drivers come out maybe a little bit earlier, but we are at the point that I like to call the calm before the storm, which is where all the drivers, or at least majority of them, are currently sat in the pits preparing for that final push. Anthony's already on his final push, it looks like. He's not going to get a chance to go again unless he decides to do the same on the same tyres, which is a bit of a death wish if you ask me. You don't want to do more than one lap on these tyres if you can avoid it. If you can't avoid it, then you're in big trouble, let's be honest. Anthony, a little bit out of shape there. Don't really want to be coming back onto the inside. If you can avoid it, does go P13. 109.201 is his lap time. This is on an out lap. And this is it now. This is the drivers that are prepping for it. Busted has left the session. I think his game may have had a little issue there. Might have seen him. Look at the drivers just pouring out the pits now. Is that's going to have to be just chilling coming out? Here it is, because his teammate has DNF'd or DQ'd or whatever you want to call it. He's not here. He's got a Ferrari actually towing him. Is that Dan? That's not Dan. That's Livid chasing him down. So Livid's going to be looking to try and get a tow on Just Chillin'. It's kind of in Just Chillin's best interests to not allow the tow from any of the drivers behind. It's only going to help them and cause him issues. You want to slow down, let everyone else pass, get obviously cleanly out of the way, so that you can then get on the slipstream with them, but then you can end up with a similar situation like we had in Italy in the official F1 where you're going to end up backing out and no one's going to want to go for it. Everyone's going to let them pass, and there he goes. He knows that's the right thing to do. Let the drivers go. There's another car coming up behind him. That is an Alpha. Is that Dennis? It's not Dennis. That must be Jumboy then. So Jumboy, he's backed off a fair amount. I want to go to Atomic to see where he's currently doing. He's on an out lap. Well, I think he's actually gone for a hot lap but made a mistake. Buster's managed to rejoin, so he's going to have enough time. Oh, he might not. He's still in the pits, isn't he? Yeah, he might not have enough time then. He's going to have to get out of the pits immediately, and even then he's going to have to do a quali lap's worth of pace in order to get around again. So Busted may have just had a major issue that's cost him a solid qualifying position. Rain is coming, but Rain is not here yet. This is going to cause havoc if we do get it, which is why the drivers are out right now going for the hot lap. Atomic still resetting himself. No Rain on his Halo. Jumboy is currently on a hot lap. He's going to need to get this in as quick as possible. Just Chilling was ahead of him before, and he still is now. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was Livid, wasn't it? Yeah, Livid was ahead of him earlier, and you can see he actually is. So Livid's going to be the next one. He's actually slightly down on his time. I saw a little bit of wing there on the wall. That's not good at all. Here comes Livid through. I don't think it's his wing. No, it's definitely not. He's got an intact wing, so he's going to be okay. Nathan has retired from the session. 2 laps on that medium compound tyre. Has he got that? He did 1 lap on them earlier, but that's still going to be 2 laps when he comes into the pits. Livid has a Renault a little bit further back. I believe that's Noosa. As yeah, Busted is not going to make it out of the pits, so he's not going to be able to improve. Neither is Atomic. They're both going to sit where they are right now. So provisional P3 and 4. Livid coming through the final chicane as we come to the end of the session. Chirofin can't improve. That's the Noosa in the pits. Julian's retired as well, so he's not going to be able to improve. Anthony's not going to be able to improve. Livid stays P11. No improvement for him. Where's Just Chilling? He's crossed the line and gone 108.645. And now have a look around. Where's Jumbo? Jumbo's just crossed the line, stays P10. No change there. Fluffy Balls coming up to the line. We've got more cars ahead that are also going for it. That's Dennis and Dan. Dan is P7, stays P7. Dennis P5, stays P5. Fluffy Balls across the line, goes P1. 108.369. That is a deliverance and a half there. Now you got Yawn coming to the line. Maester's crossed the line. He stays P2. Has Yawn done enough? He has. A 108.358 puts Yawn on the top step. Insane pace from him to be able to just snatch that away. Now the only other driver left to do a lap time is for Veerkamp, and he's already backed out. He's on mode 0, which means he's not going to be improving no matter what happens. So Yawn snatches pole position away, but Fluffy Balls with the absolute shocker performance. So close. In fact, we'll take a look at the gap to leader all the way down the order. Everyone who did a lap time and got it recorded is within a second of the guy in P1, which tells us that the Dutch racing competition has some incredibly close racing drivers, and that can only bode well when it comes to the race, as we're going to have some extremely close racing and excitement from beginning to end. Yawn takes pole position with a 108.358, and then very close behind his Fluffy Balls in P2, Meister in P3, Atomic in P4 with Busted in 5th, Dennis in P6 with just chilling in 7th. Dan in P8 with Julian in P9. Jumboy rounding out the top 10. Interestingly, Julian made it into the top 10 with medium compound tyres, which is going to bode really well for him in terms of race pace. And then you have Livid, who got P11, best of the rest. Charifin there in 12th. And then it was Noosa, and I think we had a couple of others. I didn't quite catch the names or the order, but then we had a few people that couldn't yet put times on the board. One of which was the Williams driver of Beaker. Don't want to keep, stabbing at it or whatever, but Beaker has struggled quite a fair bit when it's come to this season. He's not really been on top of his game, and whilst he knows what's wrong at the same time as fixing it, he's just not quite been able to fix it as quick as he needs to. Nothing to take away from the fact that he's a great driver and has got a lot of potential and a lot of unlocking, if you like, on what he can do to be able to really deliver in a race. We're just not seeing it yet. So give him a bit of time, a little bit longer, and I think by the end of the season he should really have picked up his pace, and I think he'll be able to battle with the likes of Meister and Jorn, or at least start battling for P3 and 4. But yeah, with the qualifying ban, I believe it was, that is what's set him off. So here we go with the formation lap, and leading us around this Canadian track is Jorn. Fluffy Balls is surprisingly right there. I mean, I say surprisingly because I think this is the first time we've seen him so close to the top step of the, well, I say top step, to pole position, should I say. He's not yet had an exceptional qualifying as such, but this is good stuff to see that he's really worked hard on this track. And both Haas drivers actually right up there. Atomic actually didn't get a chance to do another hot lap, neither did Busted, and they are still 4th and 5th. There was an amazing amount of people that crossed the line and just couldn't improve. Dennis just chilling, Dan, Julian, Jumboy. These were all people that stayed right where they were. They didn't improve at all. So it was a bit sad to see, to be honest. Kimi, remember, got a disqualification for crossing, blocking the pit lane was what he actually said. Could have meant anything. I've had it myself where I've been stuck in the pit lane because of a mistake that I made where I just lost control of the car, ended up parked on the pit lane and tried to readjust but couldn't, and ended up getting disqualified for it. It does cost you your entire qualifying, and I feel like that's exactly what's happened to Kimi. But, he's chosen to go on the soft compound tyres, and if you look outside of the top 10, only 3 drivers chose the softs. I thought we might see a little bit more than that. One of the drivers, and there's no surprise, Beaker, has chosen the hard compound tyre. Like I said before, if you're outside of the top 10, the hard compound tyre is definitely the tyre to start on because it will allow you to really push and choose whatever strategy you want to go for. And then you've got the mediums for everyone else. So Noosa, Nathan, Faircamp, Livid as well, above, and Doctor and Anthony. They've all chosen the mediums. It's going to be an interesting situation because I don't think you can actually push the mediums enough for you to be able to go to the softs. So it's going to be mediums to hards. Similar strategy to obviously what Julian's going to be doing. But Julian has managed to do an incredibly good qualifying pace in order to get into the top 10 and on the medium compound tyre. Now, we're just waiting for Julian to slot into his grid box position. As soon as he does, it's going to be go time here in Canada. There you are. The lights are coming on in just a second. Here we go. As soon as they disappear, it's time to get underway with the Canadian Grand Prix. And immediately, we're not having any hesitations here. Jorn just takes off. Fluffy Balls is trying to keep up with him. There's a big mistake already. We had lots of crashes, and I've just pressed the wrong button. But if we go to there, look at the carnage that's happened. Both the McLaren drivers are out. Kimi is also out. That is such serious stuff. We've got virtual safety car. Before we've even got past turn 2, we're already having problems. So that is disaster to say the least. Meister is still staying where he is. Atomic staying where he is. And we're going to have a look now at the position changes. The top 5, don't move. Just chilling at a pretty solid start to jump a place. You got a few others that have gained a few places. So Dower, who started dead last, has managed to claim 3 places because obviously those 3 have made a big issue. Livid lost out massively. He's dropped 5 places as it stands. We're already back underway. There's no hesitation from the safety car. The virtual safety car disappeared relatively quickly as the cars get out of the way. So turn 1 dramas. Not even turn 1. We didn't even get off the start line before we saw issues. Jorn is leading and starting to build a nice little gap here with the Fluffy Balls still in his toe, still trying to get everything together and maintain the pace he carried out in qualifying. Meister surprisingly further down than anticipated. And already look at the gap that he's got. Atomic is really breathing down his back here. Could easily capitalize on this. And I feel like the end of the virtual safety car was what the problem was. And that was a big slide there. That was Dennis that almost lost his car. Kept it all together just about. Dan lost out to Jumboy. Jumboy now up in a P8. We're going to have a look again at the position changes. Jumboy's claimed 2 places so far. So good stuff from him. Charifin in the same sort of position. Noosa, Nathan 2, Doctor 3, Beaker up 4, along with Dower up 4. So good stuff from them, especially Beaker. Given the, especially the how much I was slating him earlier, he has really pushed himself to properly go for it. Dennis looking for something on Just Chilling. It's not going to happen just yet. There's no DRS yet. We've got the rest of this lap to go before we get it activated. But, you know, that doesn't change the fact that the slipstream still plays a huge factor here, and you can easily prepare yourself for it. As you can see, Dan is getting onto the back of Jumboy. Dennis is getting onto the back of Just Chilling. You can see Dan actually going down the inside there of Jumboy. Couldn't quite get it off, though. He's got a good exit. Jumboy's got a better one. And all that's going to happen here is Dan just trying to stick to the back of the Alfa Romeo, try his best to just keep pushing and hold on to P9, ready for when the DRS gets enabled, which now you can see Jon coming up to the start line means he will get DRS enabled, as well as the fastest lap, 1:12.096. So far, no one's crossed the line and beaten it. Jon really starting to show what he's capable of. 6/10 is the gap to the driver behind. What you're seeing on screen is now live timings. Jumboy still pretty close to Dennis. We don't have DRS at all yet, remember. They've still got the middle straight before we see that being enabled. There's not going to be any changes, at least for the top 5. The gaps are just a bit too big. It's going to be purely Fluffy Balls trying to close that gap up onto Jon. Maester trying to slipstream him to then capitalise on that as well. Jumboy a little bit too far back. Dennis closing in. Just Chilling has come outside of the 1 second gap to Busted, who's also come outside of the 1 second gap to Atomic. So, oh, big wobble there from Dennis. He's going to with a big issue if he doesn't maintain that one. And now we're coming up to the back straight. This is the crucial bit. Come outside the hairpin. Dennis needs a really solid exit. Just Chilling has not got the pace to be able to get away too quickly. I don't know if he's just carrying too much fuel or what it is, but Dennis on the back of him. Slipstream, DRS being fully utilised. Just Chilling doesn't have it. There's also switches going back on as Jumboy and Dan are going side by side into the final chicane. Jumboy's trying to hold it tight on the inside. Dan goes a little bit wide, and that's caused them to come together just a touch. But Dan has got himself in a P8 now. Jumboy is slipping back, and Charifin's coming down the inside of both of them. He's looking for the inside on Dan. Going into turn 2's contact. A little bit of a wobble there from Dan, but he's kept it together. No wing damage from anybody. Charifin manages to gain the position on Jumboy, and he lost out twice there. Serious stuff for him. Dennis on the back of Just Chilling still hasn't been able to make any changes as Nathan manages to get past Noosa. Livid in the pits now. Gone to some fresh soft tyres. 19.6 seconds behind Dower. So P16, not a great result so far. Still tons of time to go. 31 laps in fact. 32 if you count the one that they're on right now. Dennis still breathing down the back of that Williams. I'm not sure what Just Chilling can do really to get away from this. I mean, if you look at the ERS levels, Just Chilling is a lot less than him. He's still got a good amount in the battery, and that doesn't mean he's actually at risk of losing anything. But if Dennis keeps making mistakes like that, Just Chilling's job is going to become a lot easier for him to just defend here, because he can get the exit that he needs to. I mean, look at that. He's still gaining, even though Dennis has actually got DRS up, and he's now started to slowly bring it in, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough. As you can see, Fluffy Balls 6/10 behind Jon. Same for Maester just behind. Battles forming as we get towards the final points position. P10 onwards. Jumboy has a little train going on. It's only a small one. Nathan and Noosa, so 2 carriages. Jumboy is on the better tyre though. He's on the softs. Oh, that's crucial. We talked about how Canada is a track where penalties will come into effect quite seriously. And Jon is in that boat now. He's the first person to get a penalty for corner cutting. So 3 seconds. And as it stands, that will cost him 2 places, almost 3 if he doesn't get his act together a little bit. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the only penalty we are going to see, not just from him, but from everyone else on the track. Dennis coming into the little chicane here, Just Chilling. Still feeling a little bit under threat. Nathan managed to get past Jumboy. Jumboy's really falling apart now. I don't know whether or not the soft tyres have just disintegrated a little bit on Jumboy's car. I don't see any wing damage on his car. It looks okay. No elements missing either, so he's fine in that respect. But now Dennis is closer than he has been for a little while. He's on the back of Just Chilling. Just Chilling is trying to move out of the way, trying to defend himself, and he can't. Dennis flies on by, and that's Dennis now up into P6. Oh, big tank slapper there. Yes, he's got DRS, but look how close Just Chilling is now to the back of him. There might actually be a scrap here going through into turn 1. It's going to be a tough one for Dennis to defend with, although he does just about do it. And it's getting close as well up at the front of the grid as Jon In P1 has Fluffy Balls chasing him. 4/10 is the gap between the two of them. You've got Just Chillin' still on the back of Dennis. There's battles forming everywhere, and this is about to be a really interesting scenario as we come into towards the middle DRS zone. Fluffy Balls has DRS. Is not really going for it. You can see Mode 2 on the little telemetry there at the bottom. It means he's just maintaining the gap, trying to hold it together and do nothing more. Noosa in the pits, gone onto the hards. I don't know if he's going to try and push that all the way to the end, but 29 laps on those hards is going to be a really rough ride for him. Oh, here we go. Fluffy Balls trying to size up Jorn, looking for an inside line. Jorn just defended it enough to make sure that he couldn't get past, but the gap is so close now that this is actually going to be Fluffy Balls attacking. Hasn't gone for mode 4 though, sits in mode 3. He's just utilizing Slipstream, utilizing DRS. Is he going to try and fling it down? He's not. Jorn has managed to hold him back, and all he's doing is allowing Meister to just slowly come in. A little ping off the wall there. No damage for Meister, but still a little bit of a warning shot. Although I thought he had a missing end plate. He doesn't. He's actually still got a full wing, but Jorn is really struggling now. The soft seems to have just turned off all of a sudden. Dan getting onto the back of Just Chillin', as we saw Dennis do it last lap. He managed to get past Just Chillin' early on the back straight. Dan's now closing in slowly but surely to see what he can do. Clearly Noosa felt there was something wasn't right on those softs, and that's why he switched off pretty quickly. I'm beginning to think that those that were on the mediums, that it's a shame that we lost Julian on the first lap, because he could have potentially gone for it, as Meister's doing right now on Fluffy Balls, looking for a move into the chicane. He can't get it, he has to back out, but that's actually bought Jorn a lot of time. Jorn's just disappeared now. He's outside of the 1 second window, and the detection line's there under that bridge, which means that Jorn's actually pretty comfortable now. He's actually defended enough to not allow Fluffy Balls any DRS. Oh, he actually has got it. Sorry, my apologies. He's brought himself close enough to do it, and that's actually a similar sort of scenario for Dan. All it's going to be for those in the top 3 is just a securing of the position, whereas you've got Dan, who's right close to the back of Just Chillin'. Although he's lost out massively. Just Chillin' must have got a series... I mean, he's got DRS on Dennis, and pit lane is lively now. And actually, we're going to get a double stack from Haas. This could actually really cripple Atomic. It might even cripple the Renault driver behind as well, because he's going to have to wait. And he has been slightly delayed. That is Busted. Has just had a rough one from beginning to end. Out comes Atomic. Who's going to come out in front of anybody? It's Jorn still leading. Fluffy Balls in P2. Dower's brought himself up in a P... Oh, I say P1, P2. They are net P1, P2, effectively. But that could change depending on how the drivers that have done the mediums and the hards have gone for. Beaker obviously started on the hards, and he's going to have to pit and go into another compound tyre at some point. And he has the option to choose the hards to mediums or the hards to softs. I think realistically, the way the softs have been performing, it seems like your hands are forced into going from hards to mediums. It has to be the only strategy you can go for, ultimately. That's just how it's faring off. But you can see that is Jorn going around Jumboy there. Jumboy's tyres have disintegrated. I don't know what's happened, but he has no pace. Bear in mind, Jorn's just come out of the pits, so his tyres are going to be pretty cold. Fluffy Ball's also going for a huge send down the inside into the hairpin. He has managed to do it. Jumboy is just crawling back to the pits. He definitely has no confidence in that car or in the tyres. Nice little slingshot down there. Fluffy Balls realizes how crucial it was that he got past Jumboy as soon as he did, so Jorn can't run away with this. And all this is doing is allowing Fluffy Balls to keep really close to the back of Jorn. A 5-second penalty for both Doctor and Jumboy, both of which did it for speeding in the pit lane. Here comes Fluffy Balls going in towards turn 2. This is going to be a side-by-side action as they come in towards turn 3 now. Jorn's got the inside. Fluffy Balls is going to need to get the exit of Dreams in order to get past Jorn, and Jorn defends him. Now moves over to protect the racing line. Fluffy Balls, again, is just going to have to keep applying the pressure. Keep hoping that Jorn burns everything away, and he is. Look, his ERS levels are dropping. Granted, Fluffy Balls is not in exactly a much better position, but this is just going to be relentless attacking from Fluffy for quite a while now, as Busted is also doing a similar sort of situation on Dower, and he might actually go for it here. He has got the much better tyres. There's Dower just crawling towards the chicane. Busted is through. Nice clean overtake there from Busted. Good move from him. Jorn and Fluffy is still pretty close. Fluffy had a much worse entry into the hairpin. That's why he's down to 6/10 now. Actually, a little battle going on for Dower and Dennis. Dower runs wide. Dennis goes down the inside. He's now up in a P7. Just Chillin's going to be slowly but surely crawling into this situation as well. Fluffy's going to be bringing himself closer to Jorn, but no attack opportunity available. Jumboy, though, he has got the opportunity coming into the hairpin. Livid in P14. Jumboy's on fresh mediums now, so he's got off those awful softs that were slowing him right down. It has knocked him quite a fair bit. down the order into P15 now. Livid fancying a defense, trying to keep it a little bit tight there for Jumboy. Into the final chicane they go. They are going side by side. That's immediately cost to Livid. Has to cut the corner. I think he may have got a warning for it, but I think that was all it was. Nothing worse than that. Yawn has actually brought himself onto the back of Beaker. So yes, Beaker's P2, and yes, he has still yet to pit. But ultimately, he might be able to pull it back together when Yawn does have to go. Because realistically, these that have gone onto the mediums now won't be able to take the mediums all the way to the end of the race, as far as I know. But Yawn's going to have to go around the outside of Beaker. Beaker holds his line. He says, nope, I have every reason to fight you because we have both holding positions now. And whilst I'm on these hards, if I can slow you down, you are realistically net P1. If I can hold you back, that will only bode well for me. But now, with the DRS wing wide open, there's not really a great deal that Beaker can do about this. He just needs to focus on how well can he defend against Fluffy, who goes send it mode in towards the final chicane. A beautiful overtake. Beaker, I don't know why he didn't just turn in a little bit more. Cuts the corner, gets a penalty for it. And immediately you've seen Yawn getting past Nathan as well. He's not holding back at all. Fluffy is going to be trying to go down the inside as well. He realizes the pressure is on. Big wobble there from him. Loses out massively to him. He's now down at P5. And Meister, who yes, he got a 3-second time penalty, but he gets a position out of that purely based on Fluffy's mistakes. This is not good for Fluffy. He was holding the pace. He was holding everything he needed to. He just made that little contact by sending it in the inside of Nathan. Didn't work out for him. Meister knows the contact. That's Beaker getting touched there and immediately loses the back end. Catches it, doesn't go into the wall, but Meister just getting a little bit too eager. Almost forces Beaker off into the wall and Busted getting onto the back of Dennis. Dennis with a little bit of a weave there. Nothing too dangerous, I don't think, as Busted still manages to make the most of it and still manages to get past. And Dennis just can't do anything about this now. He's just going to have to stay on the back of the Renault as we come towards the back DRS straight, praying for an opportunity to push as hard as he can and really go for it. Fluffy already on the back of Nathan, looking for a move. Nathan's just squeezing into the inside. Nothing more he could do about it. He might go for a full sending move on Meister, but he has to back out. Nathan can't defend either on Fluffy. So Fluffy, yes, he's back into P3, but ultimately he's lost out when you look at the net gain, as Meister's now up in a P2, which is, you know, sort of usual territory for him. But with that penalty on the board for Meister, Fluffy is looking pretty good. I've not seen Fluffy get a penalty so far. I mean, I may have missed it, but I don't think Fluffy has one, which means as it stands, Fluffy is net P1. Whether or not he knows that is a different story. You don't always find out unless you have a physical race engineer talking to you, or you talk to the in-game race engineer, as Dennis sizing Busted up. Busted obviously did pass Dennis earlier. Dennis couldn't return the favour. He does have wing down at wing, and that's Beaker making a mistake. He just got a little bit too excited on the rear, and he is frustrated. You can see in the way that he's driving, he's just chucking himself into the wall. I expect that we're probably going to be seeing Beaker retire from the session. When Beaker gets tilted like that, that will be it, I think. We'll see. He might be able to hold his nerve, get into the pits, change wing, change everything, and go again. Another time penalty as well. It means, yeah, that's pretty much game over for Beaker. Dennis, 3/10 off the back of Busted, trying to return the favour he had earlier, but in a different area of the track, and it's not going to be in the run into the final chicane. It might be in the run into the next one, though. As you can see, Busted trying to defend on the inside. Dennis is going to take that away from him and go for it, but this actually works out better for Busted if he can hold his car alongside Dennis, which he has done. Gets a better drive out of the corner. Just a little bit of a wobble left from Dennis means that Busted is still ahead, and they're going to be scrapping all the way through this lap now. Nothing else is going to change. Busted P5, trying to hold back the very rampant Alfa Romeo. Busted still properly holding it. This is really good driving from Busted. He has really impressed me today. I'm not expecting him to be as good at driving overall. Dennis makes a mistake there. He knows it. That's why he has to cut the corner. He's lost out big time there. Falls down 5/10 now, almost 6/10 before he gets to the hairpin. Will be able to use DRS to be able to bring himself closer and closer, but these mediums are not going to take much of a beating like that. If he carries on properly killing it, he's going to with a really bad race situation on his hands. Look at the front of the grid. You got Yawn, who's still leading the race and has been from the word go, really, as Dennis is going around the outside in towards the chicane again. Makes a mistake, looks for the barrier there, does manage to avoid himself getting a penalty, but again, this has worked out massively against him because just Chillin's closing in now. 4/10 is the gap between him and Dennis, and ultimately Just Chilling will actually feel much better. He's got so much more ERS. I'm taking that back. They're actually matched exactly. I can only imagine that he was trying to conserve, but no, Dennis is actually not really deploying it, which makes me it kind of explains why he's not got past busted. If he'd really gone for it, he would have been feeling comfortable and taken away, but no, nothing there. Atomic on the back of this as well might be able to, I don't know, maybe capitalize on any mistake that Dennis makes, like Just Chilling's trying to do right now. Into this chicane, Dennis having a little bit of issues. I don't know if that's network or FPS lag, but you can see big mistake there. Comes right across Just Chilling after he cuts the corner. Almost damages Just Chilling's front wing, but he keeps it together. Just Chilling not going for the full send it into the inside, just trying to maintain his pace, maintain his wing, maintain his tires, and now just go for the better exit. Get the run in towards the back straight, get the slipstream, get the wing wide open, and yes, Dennis does have the same situation, but Just Chilling is just that much faster. Can Dennis defend now? Backs out, doesn't want to fight again, cuts that chicane just a little bit too much, back end kicks out, and all this is doing is allowing Atomic to slowly recover from the loss that he had earlier. And whilst we've got a little moment to breathe, we're going to have a quick penalty rundown. So, if you don't hear me say their name, it means they don't have penalties. So, Jorn 3 seconds, Meister 3 seconds, Nathan 3 seconds, Dennis 3 seconds, and Beaker 6 seconds. Now that doesn't take into account those that had speeding in the pit lane, which we saw Doc and I think it was Jumboy, I believe, I can't remember. Also had one as well. Dennis making a mistake there. So that doesn't count those 5-second stop goes that they'll be serving. And here we go, Atomic into the inside of the chicane. Nice and smoothly done. Didn't quite get the exit he needed, so he will have lost DRS from Just Chilling there. 1.5 seconds. Dennis will have DRS, and ultimately it's kind of a, did you really want to do that? Atomic makes a mistake there in the braking zone, runs really wide but gets a good exit. Dennis will be a lot closer though and loving life a lot more than before, as Just Chilling has DRS being wide open. Also gone for mode 4, looking for an opportunity on Busted. Busted goes defensive as they come towards the final chicane. They're going to be looking to go too wide, although Just Chilling knows better than that. Backs out, now goes for an attack on the home straight. This is the one that matters. Got yellow flag sector 3. I don't see any cars anywhere else. I think it was just a little off there. Let's have a look at how Atomic is doing. It was him that went off, but we need to go back to Just Chilling and Busted as they are side by side. They're going round. Just Chilling's taking the outside, which we've seen a few times already in this race, but Just Chilling makes it work, gets the exit, manages to get himself up in a P4, and that is perfect situation for Just Chilling. The concern he's got now, though, is he does have Busted chasing him. Doesn't necessarily know that Busted has a lot less ERS than Just Chilling. In fact, JC has twice the amount of ERS that Busted has, and that's ultimately now why Just Chilling is ahead, and we'll be able to deploy a lot of it just to build that 1 second gap. And the only thing Busted can do is just pray that he can use DRS to bring himself back into this. He's going to need to go a few laps where he just sits in the DRS of Just Chilling, uses DRS if he can. Although I have been told that Busted's DRS is busted, ironically, but it isn't. It's open. He's going for it. So he's just bringing himself closer, not going for mode 4, not trying to attack, goes into mode 0 because he knows how important ERS is on this track, and that's why Just Chilling is still staying ahead. DRS being wide open, Charifin coming up to the back of Dan. Charifin gets a penalty for cutting the corner just a little bit more than he necessarily wanted to, and not going to be able to attack unless Dan makes a mistake into this corner, which Charifin is not trying to necessarily do anything about. He's just sitting comfortably, recharging his ERS and licking his wounds a little bit. Busted went a little bit deep there, not too severe, but that's not allowed him to get closer. Just Chilling took it perfectly. He's slightly ahead. 4/10 is the gap between the two. Same for Charifing and Dan, although that gap has just took a little dip there. JC with a little bit of a weave. I don't know if he's just trying to shake the slipstream or what he's doing, but Just Chilling is ahead. But this is go time now for Just Chilling. Has to turn everything up. Cannot afford to let Busted do what he's doing, which is closing even more, especially if Just Chilling's making a big mistake there. He's ran right off the track there. I have no idea what has happened to Just Chilling. He has lost out a lot there. Just went off wide, and it's caused him problems. I don't know what. It looked like he was messing around, and Just Chilling lost out 2 places there. Ah, okay, that explains it. So Just Chilling had the host glitch, which is where somebody leaves the lobby and it causes the lobby leader to have problems. This is now going to cause problems for us for the meantime because it's saying migrating host. So all of the standings are about to mess up just a little bit. Until we get a new host, we're not going to be able to see who is P1. There it is. I think that has just reset itself now. Now that it's claimed Just Chilling has left, he's going to be able to rejoin, but it will mean that he's going to lose places now. And that explains what happened to him. If his force feedback is a little bit too high, when we have that host glitch, it does mean then that you're going to have the wheel responding every time your screen refreshes, and that's not good because your wheel will just start throwing you around. And he ran deep. He's lucky to have not got wing damage, to be honest, so he should be able to get himself back into this no problem. But now it's going to be bad news bears for him as he's fallen down to P8. Has to get in as quick as he can and retake control of that car. And ultimately, the only way to stop that from happening is just don't allow the drivers to leave. If you have drivers that leave, it will just cause your FPS to just take a jump into the dirt. And that's literally what's happened here. You've seen it live on screen. Gaps have started to form a little bit more. You can see Busted is 6.5 seconds behind Fluffy. Dennis he's probably the closest one as Busted gets a penalty for just cutting that inside a little bit too much. Charafin is close to the back of Dan still. That's not changed for a little while actually. Dan's sitting P6, trying to just maintain some good points positions with Charafin working his way to the back of Dan. Hopefully Just Chilling gets himself back into this. It would be great to see him start the miracle comeback. He's on the mediums, as most of the other drivers are, and ultimately he's going to have to go again. He hasn't really got much of a choice, being in that sort of situation. And things are starting to settle down a little bit. We do have two battles going on. We have Doctor and Jumboy, 11th and 12th, with Dan and Charafing in 6th and 7th. They're the two battles. Doesn't mean that they're going to change anytime soon. Yellow flag Sector 2. Who could that have been? It is Jumboy. That's a mistake. That front right wing is broken. That is not good at all. It's just an end plate and I think an element actually missing as well. So he's really falling out. Just Chilling loses out now to Atomic due to being AFK, obviously because he's had to leave the lobby to rejoin. Charafin seems to be just comfortable sitting behind Dan at the minute. I don't see any sort of chance for that to change, really. He has an opportunity to close in with the fact that he's got the DRS, and he has had it for a while. And Dan, yeah, he has had his ERS burnt into the ground a little bit, and ultimately this is now Charafin's to take. If he puts the foot down, if he switches the gas up a little bit more and really goes for it on that final straight, he could actually take Dan and run away. The concern is that you have to be able to manage that ERS from that point forward. You need to be able to make sure that you continue. Yeah, you're going to have to dump it. As soon as you get past, dump your ERS. Just take off and get past Dan outside of the 1 second gap. Especially while the fact that Dan doesn't really have ERS to work with. Whereas look at that, Charafin has so much that he can use here. And he's going for it now. This is the best I've seen, but he runs a bit deep there. He's got a good exit. But Dan gets a better one, and that gap has actually increased slightly, and that's going to cause problems for him. Has Just Chilling returned? He hasn't. That's Nathan getting past him, so he's up now in a P9. Charafin bringing himself closer into the final chicane. DRS wing wide open again. Not in mud, any mud actually in ERS. He's sat in mode 0 the entire time. And he could really do with going for that pass. He has actually... I think he's got better pace than him. I think Charafin is actually faster than Dan if you look at it at face value, as Atomic gets a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. Charafin being in this situation he's in, where he's got 94% ERS, he can actually pass Dan and really go for it. Because if you look at Dan's ERS, Dan is actually in recovery mode. It's now a problem for Charafin because Dan's comfortable. Once Dan gets comfortable and Charafin isn't applying the pressure, Dan doesn't have to really worry. He's sitting at 50% ERS, which is a really good amount to be sat on. Obviously, there's no weight to electricity, but it still doesn't change the fact that if you're setting 50%, it means you're dumping enough to be able to keep it there, and you're charging enough to really love life. But Just Chilling's back. Huzzah! Race leader, Yawn, is in the pits. So 13 laps on the mediums. We'll look to go to another set of mediums, I imagine. That's the sort of situation you want to be in if you can. Sadly though, there's no one. That is interesting. Okay. Dan just drove straight into the pit lane at full speed. Gets himself a 5-second stop go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. There was no brakes being applied there. That is... Right. So Dan's pitted and come out ahead of Dennis. I am lost for words, which is actually surprising. Although Doctor and Dennis having a little scrap there, coming through turn 3. Now in 4 and 5, Dennis is ahead. Doc is a bit slower because obviously he's 13 laps in on the mediums, and they're getting towards the end of those tyre life. Jon is P3, which, considering he's just pit, is extraordinary. He's 8.5 seconds behind Fluffy, which is ultimately fine. As soon as Fluffy and Maester pit, you're going to see them drop quite considerably. And now that Jon is on fresh rubber, he's going to be able to just take off and really break that gap down even further. So the longer that Maester and Fluffy stay out, the worse it's going to be for them now. They need to pit and try and recover the situation. But the question is, do they have the pace in the first place? If they don't, then there's no point. You may as well carry on pushing the mediums as far as you can go. Get down to about 10 laps remaining, which is only 2 laps away. Switch over to the softs and then just go for it on the softs. So whilst Jon, yes, at the minute is going to be gaining and he's going to be feeling life is pretty good. If Maester gets onto the softs and maintains the pressure like Dennis is doing. Oh, big hit into the wall there from Dennis. That almost cost him. In fact, he did. He's got no end plate. I can see it in the back there. So Dennis lost out massively there. And that's Dan. He's going to be feeling pretty fresh after that one. As Cherifin coming out of the pits now is going to be obviously ahead of Doctor, but will be behind Dennis and Dan by 1.6 seconds between them. Dennis still there, but not really there. He's going to be losing out slowly but surely. Fearcamp coming out of the pits, finishes P14, now jumps up to P13 as Dower has also come into the pits to change the tyres. Just Chilling will look to do the same, I think. As you can see, his exit was not very good there. He's not even using the DRS unless it's broken for him, but he's not quite close enough to the back of Doctor to be able to make a pass just yet. We'll have to hold out for now. Dennis, Dan and Nathan all within that little battle there. You can see Nathan ahead. That's Dan even further ahead. Dennis has actually just dropped out, of the DRS range, although he has it here. Cherifin brings himself into the DRS range but doesn't have DRS here. So he may fall outside of it again, but will be in a position where he can just maintain the grip throughout the corner. A little bit, I feel like he was a little bit gingerly there. Didn't quite go as comfortably as wanted. Nathan and Dan swapping places. Dan slips past him. Much better off on those medium tyres, so much more grip, so much more pace, and just goes cruising past Nathan. I mean, he's doing exactly what you want him to do, to be honest. I'm just trying to look at the gap to leader, actually. Let's have a look. So Dan is not within range of those ahead. Busted's obviously been in the pits and come out, and on fresh tyres. Jon in a similar sort of situation. The real question is how much time will Jon, Busted and Dan gain on those two at the front? Because ultimately they're now in a position where they have to go for softs. It's almost pointless for them to try anything else right now. Atomic Just Chilling and Doctor having a battle. Just Chilling trying to recover after that brutal issue that he experienced with the FPS glitch. Here he goes down the inside now into the hairpin. Gets a little bit locked up on the front right hand side, but managed to make the move stick. And that's actually going to be good for him because Atomic is behind trying to do something about this. Has better tyres. Doctor gets back into the slipstream with Just Chilling. Just Chilling is going to be probably coming into the pits, I think. Ultimately, he should. Maybe if he goes one more lap. He is going one more lap. Atomic gets on by as well. So Doctor losing out. Almost goes into the wall there, but Doctor getting closer and closer to the back of Just Chilling. Might go for an attack. Has got the grip to do this, but he's not looking for the inside line. It's not going to work out. Fluffy Balls in the pits. Comes out on soft tyres and crucially ahead of Busted. Atomic trying to get down the inside on Just Chilling to slowly but surely bring himself closer and closer so he can attack when we get to the middle DRS straight. But it's not time yet. It's too soon for him to go for that. Although Jumbo and Noosa and Beaker in their own little battle outside of the points, but Noosa is on the hard tyres 19 laps in. I think he thought he was going to be in a better position. Beaker going down the inside. This means he's on the outside for the next one, but he's got a much better drive through the corner than Jump Boy does, although they are wheel to wheel, they are side by side, but Beaker comes out on top. He's now separated the two. He's looking to close up closer to Noosa so that he can push on the middle straight, and this is a very fired up Beaker. He knows exactly what he needs to do now to try and bring himself back into this, even if it's not for points, even if it's just for his own pleasure. He is furious. He's driving furious, and this is the best time to see a Beaker, is when he's driving angry, because he does stuff like this, where he goes round the outside, through the chicane, gets the move done, and Beaker now up into P13. Yes, there is a Noosa still holding in there. Yes, there is a Jumboy still holding in there, but ultimately Jumboy can't get the cutback here because Noosa's blocked it. Beaker's leading this, doesn't have DRS down this back straight, but he has so much more pace out of the corner. He will be able to run away with this. And Noose is going to be able to just sit in the slipstream and hold on to it. Jumboy has to pray that he has the better pace. Jumboy comes across, and so does Noose. They're looking for it in the final corners. Noose holds him back. Beaker's running away. Jumboy's losing out. Dower is closing in now. And all this is doing is just working wonders for Beaker because he's able to gain a little bit of time, able to get a little bit more comfort and take off. Meanwhile, up front, you've got Dennis in P6 with Charafin in P7, trying his best to get ready for this final attack on the back straight. Remember, these are fresh mediums that these guys have got on their car. There's no real pressure for them. And the gap between Jon and Meister after Meister pits is 7.4 seconds. And Meister comes out in a position where he can start to reel Jon in. He's going to have a lot more grip on those tyres for the first 5 laps. After that, he's going to be on par with Jon on the tyre wear. Although then it's going to be all about management, which is something Meister has struggled with throughout a little bit of the season. I've seen him do well in a fair few races, but this is a track where I have seen Meister get penalties and punctures as well. It would be good to see Meister capitalize that, apply pressure to Jon, and see what Jon can do when he has got the pressure on him. Charafin, though, P7, does need to really push onto the back of Dennis. Dennis makes mistakes. It's something he's quite often known for. But today, he hasn't. He hasn't really had any big offs other than the one he had in the wall earlier where he lost his right end plate. Charafin is there and going for it. It needs to get past him quickly if he wants to think about Dan. Although I think it's just going to be a little bit too late now as Charafin really closing into the back of Dennis, runs seriously deep into the corner. And you can see he's really in attack mode now. It's good. This is what we want to see. We want to see Charafin do this. Needs to go mode 5 though, out of the hairpin. That's the only way to get the best exit. And then you flick to mode 4 when you get to gear 6, end of gear 6, sorry, gear 7. So that then you can get the proper usage out of your ERS and you're not just burning it into the dirt, because mode 4 will just chuck it away. And you can see after pushing, yes, after dumping a lot of ERS, he's not really gained much on Dennis at all. And it's a bit concerning. Charafin has the pace. I've seen him deliver that pace. Just doesn't have it, but that might help him. This is crucial for Charafin. Charafin, I don't think, has any penalties, whereas Dan does. 3 seconds on Dan. I think he's even got the 5-second stop go as well, which means that Charafin should be able to jump in, but he can't afford to lose pace. He can't afford to lose ground, and he can't afford to lose composure. He has to give it everything in order for him to get that position on Dan, and realistically, he's looking at P5 as soon as he gets past Dennis. That's the ultimate goal. The worry he's got to think about is that Busted and Dan are scrapping. Dan's going to have DRS on Busted, and Dennis is actually losing out to Dan here, and again, for as long as Charafin stays behind him, this isn't going to work out. Speaking of penalties, though, let's talk about that penalty rundown. So, if you don't hear the names, remember, that means they don't have penalties. Jon has 3 seconds, Meister has 3 seconds, Fluffy has 3, Busted has 3, Dan has 6, Charafin has now just got 6, Dennis has 6, Nathan has 3, Veerkamp has 6, Beaker has 9, Doctor has 3, Jumboy has 6, Dower has 6, Noosa has 3, and that is not going to be including the 5-second stop go penalties we saw for speeding in the pit lane, of which there was a lot of people that got that. I don't think they were expecting that to happen, but Just Chillin switches to the soft tyres, chucks in the fastest lap of the session, and is now on fire. Something to note, Just Chillin does not have any penalties to his name. Whether that makes a difference is a different story, because there's no one that's got 15 seconds worth of penalties, and he's 15 seconds behind Atomic, which does, it's not his fault. He did really well. He was actually on par to get a really solid points position, but yeah, that FPS glitch that you get from being the lobby leader, when people leave, it doesn't help, and he lost out a lot of places. I think he was P5 at the time when it happened, and he just fell all the way down to, I think, P12 by the time he finished, and we can't look away because now Charafin has found pace all of a sudden. You can see he's gone from mode 5, flicked back to mode 4 though. Bit of a mistake there, I think. Stay mode 5, you don't use anywhere near as much ERS, but you also get a really solid pace. And now Dennis is under attack, and you can tell that, not necessarily by his ERS, but the lines that he's taken, and the fact that he has that wing damage just shows how comfortable Charafin is in terms of attack, but also how much Dennis is going to be sweating to hold him back Meanwhile, further up front, Busted is defending against Dan, who has got DRS, but he doesn't have anywhere near the ERS levels that Busted has, and Busted could just say, okay, time to go, turn the ERS levels right up to mode 5 and just disappear into the sunset, and Dan will just have to wave goodbye, send him a postcard and say, let me know when you get there, I'll hopefully chase you, but it's going to be a little bit too late. Although, this is him now going for it. Mode 5 knows that that is the plan and how to get the best exit. Switches to mode 4. The gap is half a second. It's going to be tight coming up towards the final series of corners. We do have the battle between Charafin and Dennis about to light up as well, and they're going to be in a position where Charafin changes positions. Dan's going for it, really committed, but didn't get it. Charafin, though, is in position to attack again. Doesn't quite get the exit that he needs. Dennis running a little bit deep into the wall. Dan's going for a move. Didn't work out for him and Busted. He's trying to protect that line, and Busted manages to do that. Big mistake there from Dan. Kicks out the back end just a touch, and all this is doing is allowing Charafin to just work a little bit harder on Dennis and bringing him down, but he cannot stall any longer on getting past Dennis. Charafin is losing out so much in this scenario, and it just doesn't work that way. Beaker and Vierkamp swapping places. Vierkamp's left the session, sadly. He's lost out. Beaker getting a 3-second time penalty. I believe that is now 12 seconds for Beaker. Aside from the penalty he's got earlier, Dower and Jumboy, they've swapped places. Where's Jumboy? He's made a mistake there. I think he's lost here. You can see he's just destroyed that barrier, so he has made a bit of a oof. Jon with another 3-second time penalty, which makes that now 6 seconds of penalties, whereas Meister only has 3, but Meister is outside of the gap window by 6 seconds, so he's not going to be close enough to gain on Jon because of penalties. Has managed to bring down 3 seconds, but Charafin now the closest he's been for a fair few laps as Dennis is going for defensive into the final chicane. 3 laps to go. It's going to be all about Charafin and how well he can defend this, and he has, but now Dennis has come slipping straight down the inside. Beautiful retake there from Dennis to get straight back ahead of Charafin. The only thing that's working against him is the fact that Charafin has DRS, and Dennis, with the masterclass in defending, gets back into P6, and we are right back to where we were for the last few laps as Atomic and Nathan are going side by side as well through turn 3, well 1, 2 and 3, and now Atomic just trying to deliver anything here. I don't think we're going to be seeing the changes again, at least until we get to the next DRS section, but this is exciting. We've only got 3 laps to go. Where has the race gone? It's just blown by. And immediately we're seeing still more action. Dan sizing up Busted. Jumboy gets a 3-second time penalty. Dan is going to be looking to get onto the back of Busted and get the best exit out of this corner, because that is the only way to get the position taken from Busted, and he has done it. That is what he needed. 2.5 tenths is the gap between the two right now, which means he can properly go for it. It's the only solution, and that's why Dan is going around the outside as Busted goes defensive. Again, we're going side by side into the final chicane. It's going to be really tense, really tight, and it's still side by side as they come out. But Dan has DRS, Busted does not, and he also has the yellow fuel warning light, which means he does not have enough fuel to make it through. Charafin this time manages to gain that position on Dennis and some. 6 tenths is the gap between the two of them. Charafin in a P6, Dan in a P4. It's all on lap 33 it seems, but this is not over yet because Busted still in with a shout, still in with an opportunity to take that position back from Dan. We've still got 2 laps to go. 3 laps if you include the remainder of this lap that they're on right now, and this is just sheer passion from these drivers. You can see how much they want it, and immediately it's coming straight back at him. This is probably the worst place to do it though, because immediately you're going to be in a position where you're going to be under attack one more time. He's giving absolutely everything to attack him one more time. Dan on the back of him again needs the exit. It's the only way to attack. It's the only way to take the position. Busted knows it, tries to cut the inside off as much as possible, doesn't get the exit again, and again we're going to be seeing a repeat of last round. Dan very low on ERS, sorry, he's got the DRS though. Busted again, going to be defending, coming into it. Meister gets a 3-second time, but this time it's going to be Dan getting a little bit too close to the curb there. Has to back out, cannot afford to get that in the bin. Meister getting a penalty earlier. Yellow flags everywhere. I'm not sure where that is, what's going on. Livy's got wing damage. Vierkamp's not here. Noosa is... Oh, that's where it is. He's got a puncture. Is that puncture? Yeah, rear left or rear right? He's definitely got a puncture though, 100%. Noosa is in trouble. Either that or he's got serious tyre problems with temperature. But the battle doesn't stop. Busted is still holding on in P4. Dan is still chasing him down in P5. We've still got the remainder of this one and next one before the race is over. Jon is in P1 and he's pretty comfortably going to take this win unless disaster strikes like what's just happened to Livid. We lose him on the second to last lap. Now finishes P17. No points on the card for him. Atomic looking for Nathan. Dennis looking for Charafin. Dan looking for Busted. This is going to be the most tense final lap that we're ever going to see in any racing league ever. And you're seeing it right here in the Dutch racing competition as Dan is too far back to attack on Busted. Is in conservation mode because he knows the final lap is the most crucial. Race leaders crossed that line. He's started the final lap. Busted and Dan are coming up to it now, so we're going to be seeing them scrap soon. Charafin, who's been on the attack for quite a while, saw how good Dennis can defend. Now he's seeing how good Dennis can attack as Charafin's going to be stuck on the outside coming through turn 2. They're going to be side by side as he comes towards turn 3 and looking that Charafin's trying to defend the inside. Dennis can't get the gap. A little bit of contact between the two, but nothing too severe. And to say that Dennis has wing damage on the outside, he has no end plate on the right, which means that any left-hand turn is really difficult. He's just lucky that this one here is the only real left-hand turn that's going to be a problem for him. And you can see, because it's so slow, he doesn't have to worry too much. He can absolutely commit now, and he's already looking for Charafin. This is the moment for him to take it, and he has. But now again, we saw what happened between Dan and Busted earlier. When you get this position change done here, you can easily make a mistake, and this is where P4 will be decided as race leader Jon has crossed the line and taken the win. Meister will cross the line and take P2, but we can't take our eyes away from this battle for P4 because Busted sits P4 as it stands. Dan is turning everything up, coming into the final chicane. Now he's going to have to die for it. Busted knows it, goes defensive. Dan's looking for the line. Busted makes a mistake, but so does Dan. Dan loses out. Busted will cross the line and take P4 before penalties are applied, but he stakes it even with penalties applied. Charafin trying to make something happen on Dennis, but it can't happen. Charafin gains the position on him due to penalties, so he takes P6. Nathan coming up to the line now will take P8, but he jumps Dennis, and Dennis loses out more because of the penalties. He drops down to P9. P10 is where Just Chilling is going to be sat, coming up to the line. A little bit of a weave to sort of release a little bit of anger as he comes to the line, gets P10. Beaker, the other Williams driver, will be coming up and taking the best of the rest position, but with a lot of penalties on the table for him. And that's before they actually come together. It's a good job this is sim racing because that would have been a major incident there. Doctor now coming to the line. Will cross it. Taking P12 and another major accident. But that is the end of the Dutch Racing Competition Grand Prix here in Canada. We're going to get the rundown in just a second so we can confirm after all penalties applied who takes what position, but you can guarantee that that man right there who takes the top step, Jon, delivered everything he needed to, snatches pole position at the end of the qualifying session by such a small margin, but then we wouldn't believe it when it comes into the race. He takes the 25 points, takes the champagne spray out, and has secured the top spot on the podium. Here is the rundown after that Grand Prix. So Jon taking P1 with Meister in P2. Fluffy Balls in P3, rounding out the podium. He really delivered. Got P2 off the qualifying. Had a bit of a rough situation. Did end up stuck behind Meister because of a little wobble he had when he was trying to go down the inside of Nathan. Didn't work out for him. Falls down to P3. Manages to hold on to it. But that was all we could see from Fluffy. Busted. We saw have such a close battle with Dan. Pretty much the entirety of the race. Manages to get P4 with Dan in P5. Charafin takes 6th with Nathan in 7th. Atomic in 8th. Dennis, who lost a lot of positions due to his 17 seconds of penalties, falls to P9. Just Chilling, who I think was one of the only drivers to not get penalties, sits P10 with Beaker in 11th. Doctor in 12th. Dowett in 13th. Jumboy 14th. Verveerkamp 15th, and then Noosa in 16th. Your DNFers were Livid, Kimi, Julian, and Anthony. Kimi, Julian, and Anthony all DNF'd before they even got to turn 1. Wow, what a Grand Prix that was. My voice is destroyed, but the race was just too exciting to not give it the full beans. So thank you everybody who tuned in for the Dutch Racing Competition. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate for you. I've been Ben Raggy.